My bad. Sub YouTube. I'm reacting to. My bad. The world right after the dinosaurs died. But the dinosaurs even like. I thought the dinosaurs just like giant birds, kind of. Because they got feathers and shit, right? Like, I don't know. That shit confusing. Because, like, just some big ass birds. I don't know. My bad. Let's get into it. My bad.
Of all the animals to have been lost to time, none have generated as much awe and attention as the dinosaurs, specifically the non-avian dinosaurs. For over 160 million years, they held dominion over Earth's lands, shaping its natural history, and evolving into a nearly endless amount of different shapes and sizes.
See, like, bro, I don't believe that. They gotta have feathers, though. Because they closest relatives is birds. So that don't make no sense.
However, this possible reality was squashed 66 million years ago, when their party suddenly came to a violent halt. You know the story. A giant asteroid the size of a mountain slammed into the planet with enough destructive force that within a day, Earth had been entirely transformed into an apocalyptic wasteland.
Type shit, bro. That shit I'm about. Just wipe them all out.
Making the dinosaurs no more. Or at least, that's what you've been led to think. Because while non-avian dinosaurs are definitely gone, researchers do universally agree that at least some survived the initial D-Day and possibly held on for a surprising amount of time. Perhaps hundreds.
I'm not gonna try Triceratops. Not gonna lie, for anyone who's autistic that will ever watch this, what's your favorite dinosaur? Cause I know y'all got an answer. I would just love to know.
And obviously, this is quite a range, and it isn't exactly set in stone either. No pun intended. Therefore, it's impossible to say exactly when the Earth saw its first day without the dinosaurs. However, at the same time, we do have a general idea of what that day might have looked like.
Dang, those things are probably tall as hell.
Right after
like super tall.
And it's a time that surprisingly has been largely forgotten about. This was the Danian, the Earth after the dinosaurs.
Nice.
So, what was it like? Well,
it's
surprisingly actually pretty straightforward if we do pretend that all dinosaurs disappeared immediately. The asteroid's collision had caused immense physical devastation.
No, bro, I'm not gonna lie, bro. Okay, hold on. I'm not gonna lie. Like, if you believe, like if you believe just a giant asteroid just came and just blew all the dinosaurs up, you gotta be like the most ignoramus person ever. It was probably just a super toxic asteroid. That shit was probably not. It was probably big, but like not as big as you think. It's just mega fucking toxic. Like that shit had to have like uranium out the ass. And even then, like some kids believe in a fucking volcano just wiped everything out. You gotta be stupid as shit, bro. It's dumbass kids. And they ain't gonna make it.
Would have looked like a complete war zone, with virtually no trees, plants, forests, or animals being found anywhere. After all, about 75% of all species have been eradicated, while those who had survived were in
what the fuck is that?
And hunkering down.
That should look like a fucking
just
possum.
The absence of life, you'd also notice that the world was freezing and eerily dark, as the asteroid had sent enough material flying up into the atmosphere that large amounts of sunlight was now unable to reach the surface. For 3 years, you could expect perpetual darkness akin to a moonlit
just
sky.
Nothing.
During this time, you'd also see fungi slowly overtaking the lands, as fungus usually thrives in the wake.
Oh, you see that spider?
And have the added benefit.
Hold on, go back.
Overtaking the lands, as fungus usually thrives.
Oh fuck! You see that? Bro, he's just there chilling. Look at the fangs though. That shit always creeps me out. It's hard. Just the fangs. That shit's weird. And what the fuck is this? That should look like a thumb.
Thrives in the wake of mass death, and have the added benefit of not requiring sunlight, with the fossil record reflecting this through a thin line wherein fungus was extremely common. However, this apocalyptic Earth likely isn't the best representation of the world immediately after the dinosaurs, since as I mentioned, they probably lingered on for a bit. And these nightmarish conditions also did not last that long.
No sun is crazy.
Surprisingly fast.
Like no sun is insane.
Returning to the crater site within just a few years. Therefore, in order to see what Earth was truly like following the dinosaurs' reign, It's best to skip through this brief, yet no doubt hellish phase, and instead
There's probably
revisit
no
the
sun,
world
but it was probably
once
hot
and
as
for
hell
all. It
still.
was once again a bit lively, albeit.
What
a bit
is
less
this?
dinosaur.
Bro, we have like a
At
possum
this
on the
point,
screen.
The Danians still wouldn't have looked too different from the final days of the Cretaceous, at least from space, seeing that
Cretaceous
most of
Park.
Earth's land masses were pretty much where they had been beforehand. And despite a few differences, any map would strongly resemble the world as we see it today. In addition to geography, the climate hadn't changed
Wait,
much
what?
to resemble the world.
So, this is old Earth. This is new Earth. Well, the Earth we live in now. So, wait, what? Then what is this part? Because this is Greenland, right? This is Greenland. But where would that be here? I guess like right here, kind of. I don't know. I don't know about that one.
As we see it today. In addition to geography, the climate hadn't changed much from the Cretaceous period either, with the temperature being warmer than present on average, while most areas were more humid as well, resulting in many environments sporting subtropical ecosystems. But beyond these similarities, the Earth could not have been farther from what it had been, and the first large change you'd probably observe was the landscape itself. To be exact, the trees that now stood. During
What?
the final days of the Cretaceous,
But there's no sun, though. How does that
conifers,
shit work?
Ferns, monocots, redwoods, ginkgos, and angiosperms were among the most dominant tree types, and large expansive forests with dense canopies covered much of the land, providing ample coverage to varying life, and
What the
supplying an
fuck?
abundance of vegetation for the giant herbivorous dinosaurs.
But you think dinosaurs
Yet
are
in this new
racist?
day and age, forests were a bit less rich than before, and
Like,
much less diverse, with many of the
If
previously
a Triceratops
dominant groups
met like
having
a
been almost completely wiped out, especially
Ankylosaurus,
ferns and monocots. And there was pretty much
I
only
don't
one
know.
group that even benefited from the
I
asteroid,
lost it.
and that was conifers, as the genus Classopolis in particular became strikingly abundant,
Bro,
while
that's a white
Diaprea
blood cell,
was
right?
fairly prevalent as well. And these couple of trees and plants are ultimately what made up much of the vegetation, leading to extremely homogeneous forests,
Mountaintop.
no matter where you traveled.
Look familiar? It's never sustainable.
Stop giving me
I've been
ads.
about the Mediterranean lifestyle for
Stop giving me
years,
ads.
but was always intimidated by it. It seemed like a ton of shopping.
Now, this would change a bit as the Danian developed, with flowering plants slowly overtaking all else, a trend we see reflected today. But the lack of diversity would remain a theme in forests for a far longer time. And when exploring these new forests, you'd probably soon come to another observation beyond diversity, one that was much more ominous. And that's
When you think about it, that's kind of crazy. Like, bro, the plant life must have went crazy back then. I mean, we talking about dinosaurs, but think about the plant life. Like, I mean, there was no, like, there's no global warming. Like, that's insane. Like, bro, like, Antarctica was probably huge and like snowy as absolute fuck. Like, and also like, think about the plants. There's probably some big old plants. Like, I mean, huge. Like, I mean, there's probably, you know, like how like in like games and movies, they're like vines that try to eat you. Bro, there's probably really did exist. Like just vines that would swoop you up. You know, like quicksand in movies was probably real back. Oh my gosh, bro. Like there was no surviving. But how do our ancestors do it? No lie. Shout out them.
how quiet it was. Not so long ago, these areas would have been full of the roars and bellows of giant dinosaurs, pterosaurs, and so on. Yet now, nothing. Or at least, almost nothing. For life was still present, just on a much smaller
What the
scale.
is that?
Literally. As
That's
the
like a
Danians stayed with some
midget
animals
centipede.
much smaller than before.
What
And
is
even
that?
The animals, who were now in charge, weren't even close to reaching modern sizes. Meaning you could pretty much walk around without having to worry about getting snatched up.
What even
which
is that's
quite the
that's
shift from
King
the
Julian.
Cretaceous. But, that being said, not all of the legacy of
Snakes
the
are cute.
Cretaceous
I
have
like
been
snakes.
erased just quite yet. As the Danian information tells us, that
Ugh,
specific
but-
animals from the
Ugh,
dinosaurs age had survived
see
into
it?
this new planet.
Ugh. That's gross. Ew. Like you truly, but because I learned that's not its butthole. That's like it's like weird like hole thing. Like that's not even it's a what's a good word I can use? Vagina. It's not even its vagina. That's like it's just a hole it uses to give birth. Like I don't even know. Scary.
Representing the last pieces of a lost world. Some of these survivors even became among the largest creatures of the time, and were funnily enough, not usually mammals, But ironically, reptiles once again, namely
Really?
those the crocodilomorphs who were living it up, having fared quite well during the collision, largely thanks to their physical design, as well as lower energy requirements and chosen environments,
But I won't lie,
which
bro.
typically were sheltered.
They really like
And
the
as a
apex
result,
predator
they
of
could
the
be found
world.
worldwide, and in many cases, were likely apex predators,
Yeah,
being
they-
represented
bro, there's
by
still
the
apex
genera
predators
such as
today.
the Botosaurus, Hyposaurus, Thoracosaurus, Champsosaurus, and Borealisuchus. The latter of which
I know
are
about
two
Borealisuchus.
crocodilians who literally lived alongside
Look
the
how
legends,
big that thing is,
having
bro.
both been residents of Hell Creek. These crocodilians together would have held very diverse diets, and they were a bit sizey, sometimes measuring over 3 meters or 10 feet long, which
10
was rather
feet.
big back then.
Oh, that's not that
And
bad, actually.
Borealisuchus could be even bigger, growing to lengths of 4.5 meters or 15 feet long.
15
Now,
feet.
most of these crocodilians ended up
Think
inhabiting
about- bro,
shallow
oh my
semi-aquatic
gosh.
ecosystems.
Think
But a
about
few
that.
Others ended up choosing land instead. Like
My bad. 15 feet is crazy. Like, 15 feet, like, wouldn't even fit. Like that, like, that would take up everyone's lip. Like, oh my gosh. Like, 15 feet, if that was across the road, no one's going past it. It's that long. Like, no one's going past this was that alligator or crocodile? I don't remember. But, like, no one's going past it. Like, no one's going past that thing. That's insane. It's way too long. And I was talking about the 10 feet. But the thing is, they're still long, though, anyway. So it's not even that bad.
5 meters or 15 feet long. Now, most of these crocodilians ended up inhabiting shallow semi-aquatic ecosystems, but a few others ended up choosing land instead, like their coexisting cousins, the Sebecidae, a fully terrestrial group that had also endured through the asteroid.
That thing
and
looked
were now
weird.
represented
It got long
by the
legs.
Zolasuchus, a Bolivian genus who was a bit small, but still likely had a rather nasty bite. And with the
I believe
dinosaurs no longer bullying his kind, his descendants,
What is
especially
that?
the Rhinosuchus, would actually become just about the largest terrestrial
See, that's
carnivores
scary.
since the T-Rex. Talk
Seeing
about
something like
both.
that is scary.
And along with the Crocies, another group of reptiles that found themselves doing well, to the misfortune of some of us today, were snakes. And they survived for very similar reasons to their distant relatives. And honestly, they should have even thanked the asteroid. Because while a few
Really?
groups
Why?
were wiped out, the lack of competitors going forth led to a massive burst in serpent diversity, and leading to a new status quo that has lasted, with the main change
What?
being that boas became quite common, and were relatively big compared to other Danian life.
Oh,
And could
shit.
even, like crocs, sometimes measure over 3 meters or 10 feet long.
Yeah, I've seen
Another
that shit.
shift you would have
Like
noticed,
20
which
feet.
again occurred in the reptile department,
Like,
was that both iguanas
Bro.
and monster lizards had become predominant animals.
Like, have you ever seen a 20-foot, like, was it a python? Those things are crazy big. Insane, like eating deer. That's crazy.
In various ecosystems, with the latter even joining the ranks of top predators.
See, that's,
likely
oh
rivaling
my
the size
gosh.
seen today in modern
That's
ones.
scary. Those things are
And the
so
reptiles
cool, though.
seem to keep on winning, because there was actually
What the
one
heck
more
is
group
that?
that had all 3 of the other groups beat when it came to thriving, and were even a short time ruler of the earth after dinosaurs. And that was turtles. Now, they're not the
Ooh,
most
shout out
intimidating creatures
turtles.
out there, but turtles are hella tough, and I'm not just talking about their shells, with them having both an adaptable diet and a slow metabolism.
Shout out them.
In fact, when it came to surviving the space rock, they did just about the best of any group, period. Better than even mammals. With
But why would mammals do good, though? Wouldn't they suffer just like as much as the dinosaurs?
researchers estimating that 80% of Cretaceous turtles made it into the Cenozoic.
Really?
And just to put that into perspective, can you guess how many mammals made it? A measly 7%.
Yeah, I know.
Thus,
Like,
for
there's
a
no
long
way
time,
they would make it
turtles
that hard.
were killing it, being abundant, diverse, and everywhere. The only drawback to this was because turtles are typically the
Oh, I
giant.
hate the look. I hate that look, bro. They neck look like a shaft. It's horrible. Old men and just like uncircumcised, just chode necks. It's really gross, kind of.
Type. Well, at least of some animals. Their high prevalence also resulted in them becoming a huge prey source, with fossils showing that crocodilians especially love to prey on our shelled friends. So, it seems like Earth immediately after dinosaurs was more reptilian than you would expect from the so-called beginning of the age of mammals. Yet don't get it twisted, because there was much more mammals than before. and they were far bigger, for the very first time reaching sizes larger than a sheep. But for the most part, they remained fun-sized, and were even a bit adorable,
I ain't got
with
flies
some new
alone.
faces, including the Polydopomorphia, an extinct
What?
order of Metatherians closely related to extant marsupials, who had actually been one of the most successful group of mammals in
Look
the
at that
Cretaceous,
thing, bro.
with a
That thing like a
particularly
mountain
prominent
lion.
family during this time being the Hyopsodontidae. They fell under the Panparasodactyla clade, making them more related to zebras than to rodents. despite
You're
their
telling
form
me
of
that thing's
Panparasodactyla.
related to a zebra? That thing is like the ancestor of zebras. No, bro. Like, do you believe that? Like this thing is the ancestor of
clade, making them
this? Oh, yo, you're out of your mind. No way.
more related to zebras than to rodents, despite their appearance, and generally ranged in size
Oh,
from
the
a small
goats.
rat to a raccoon,
Chess.
and were likely generalistic eaters that would nip on just about anything.
I
that
was
was
say
small.
evolved down.
But unfortunately, they too are now extinct.
Dang.
Besides them, marsupials were now on the prowl as well, in numbers far larger than before, with the Microbiotheria family especially having been prevalent in the Danian. Yet, as cute as these guys were, they aren't exactly all that interesting, and frankly, none of them really were. But I will say, mammals as a whole were testing the boundaries, expanding and experimenting. And in these early days, you could have actually caught a glimpse of possibly the
What
first
is
mammals
that?
to ever
That
be
look- that thing like
predators.
Five Nights at
And they were
Freddy's.
also the largest mammals up until this point, the Mesonychians.
That thing looked like a
They were
weird bear
primarily
pig.
carnivorous or omnivorous group of animals that, in whichever case, ate a lot of meat reflected by isotopic analysis. They appeared on Earth almost right after the end
I
of
don't
the
know.
Cretaceous,
But I really
becoming the
don't
first
know.
fully terrestrial
They're really saying words that I have no clue. Like, I don't even know what they're saying right now. Like, their words going right but over my head.
mammal group to really take advantage of the disappearance of large
But look at that
theropods.
thing. That thing looked like a weird dog. Like, you know those dogs with the long noses? Like, imagine that thing just hit the gym. That's what that shit looked like.
And while they are often reconstructed as having superficially looked a lot like wolves, if you ever saw them in life, you'd probably make no connection between the two, as most paleontologists assert that they didn't resemble any living creature, generally being described as
Yeah, they look
large
weird.
heads
They look
with
like
powerful
a
jaw muscles,
carnivorous
having
capybara.
relatively long necks and large robust bodies with stocky limbs that did allow them to run, but not very gracefully. And if they were chasing you, you would have noticed that they bounded more like a rhino than a lion. And this kind of makes
What?
sense, seeing that they were actually more related to rhinos as well, being
How? How?
carnivorans. And during their existence, Mesonychians greatly ranged in size. And one of
Because,
the
bro,
most successful
I
of the
think
bunch
literally
would have
only
been
eats
the
plants, so
Disticus,
how would it
a
be?
coyote-sized
Bro,
member
that's
who
crazy.
seemed to play the role of a fox or small canid, just on a bigger scale.
Bro, they're about to
They
tell me.
actually
They're about
belonged
to tell me
larger
that thing's
animals in
related
its
to
homeland,
like a fucking
which consisted of
pufferfish.
North America, Europe, and Asia. And while it was a bit clunky in the running department, it did actually possess additional adaptations for locomotion. So
Okay.
much, in fact, that some paleontologists think it might have held a monopoly in running over all other animals. Which was a bit unfair when you realize that it was also the largest animal around in its ecosystems. Which
I
was
mean,
only made
shit,
worse
it
by
what
the
it
fact
is, though.
That Mesonychia would soon get even bigger.
Like, they really
Thus
won the
demonstrated
lottery.
by the
Like, if you're an
Anaconda,
animal,
another Damian creature that
see,
reached
yeah.
sizes akin to
Ugh, bro, that shit is disgusting. But like, if you're an animal, the bigger or faster you are, the better you are, in just all sense. Like, a bear is kind of top dog around just about anywhere. Honestly, probably even in a jungle, a bear's top dog. Cause they're just so big and so strong, so fast. Like, I mean, and they can climb. Like, it's just you're not gonna make it. No lie.
seen in modern bears. However, in my humble opinion, they were a bit more scary.
That thing
than
looked like a
bears,
damn
and
horse.
for a reason which you think would make them safer, and that's blunt teeth. Now, obviously, blunt knives typically are safer than sharp ones, but Ancalagon reversed this, as at the end of the day, it still had to eat, and it ate meat, and thus it evolved an extremely strong bite, basically
What?
erasing the need for sharp teeth, as it would kill animals by biting so ridiculously hard, and then just ripping the meat straight off of it. So, not a good way to go. And ultimately, the Mesonychids would develop many ways to kill in the early days of their dominance, with some showing teeth similar to what's seen in bone-crushing hyenas, while others had those more similar to what's seen in pigs. It was all about the variety. Now, these were the biggest mammalian carnivores, but they were also joined by the smaller, but equally interesting, Hyaenodonta, which are not to be
Hyaenodont-
confused with real hyenas. This was a family
You're telling
of
me-
hypercarnivorous
what is-
placental
that thing
mammals
look like a
belonging
lion.
to the Ferae mirror order, which basically means they're related to modern-day carnivorans and pangolins, as opposed
How could they be?
to ungulates like the Mesonychians. And these guys might have actually appeared during the late Cretaceous.
Bro,
when the
was
dinosaurs
everything
were
a
still
carnivore
around,
back then?
but they only
I
really
knew it was
started to
brutal back then.
diversify in the Danian. And similar to Mesonychids, they too had relatively large skulls, yet differed in that they sported slender jaws and slim bodies. And as mentioned, they were smaller too, with Danian hyenodonts typically
those
being
are like
no
wild
larger
dogs,
than a
ain't it?
medium-sized dog.
Yeah.
However, while size was not on their side, they did have the
Bro, those are
advantage of
scary,
superior
bro.
smell, allowing them to become expert trackers.
Like, those are scary. Like, I mean, imagine. Just like, imagine you're in back then. You're in the back then days. Like, all you guys a damn spear and a rock, and like those things are just running around. Like, I would be terrified. No way.
And their teeth were much sharper, designed for shearing over crushing. And ultimately, their design would come to haunt the Mesonychids.
What?
For while they ruled the Danian, the
Cheap
hyenodonts would
viewers,
eventually take over, becoming
streambow.com.
the most important terrestrial
No.
predators during the Oligocene, and reaching sizes greater than a polar bear. But for now, they stayed small. And
Bro,
if you were
polar bear's
carnivore,
huge, by
being
the way.
small was apparently a strict memo back then, as other carnivorous groups you might have seen included the Vivariidae, Myosidae, and Similesta.
But
who
everything's
were
a
also in
carnivore
some
back
cases
then, bro.
omnivores and herbivores too. So between these hunters
Goddamn
and the small
mongooses
herbivores
and
that stalked
and
the lands,
such.
you basically have your answer on what replaced the non-avian dinosaurs.
I'm saying, like, bro, it is just tough back then, though. But no way.
But what about the pterosaurs? I mean, after all, they did dominate Earth for millions of years too, holding absolute domain over the skies. Which begs the question, who replaced them? Well, in the beginning, not too much, with insects frankly being the ones in charge. But even they hadn't fully recovered at this point.
Look how. Oh my, I would hate that too, bro. Just the biggest, like, bugs ever. Like, imagine a spider so big, like, imagine a spider so big it just takes up my whole, like, headrest. Just all of it. Bro, I'd be terrified. A dragonfly so big he could legit probably pick you up. Like, that's disgusting.
For any of our time travelers who hate creepy crawlies. But even better news for them would be that out of the groups which remained, one of the most prevalent were butterflies. A pleasant change for once.
I actually don't like
But of
butterflies.
course,
They're weird.
besides insects, you also had the remnants of dinosaurs flying around.
Butterflies
too.
are super weird.
Birds. However, like insects, they were hurting. And contrary to popular opinion, only a small handful of them made it past the Cretaceous. And though
Really?
today they are without a doubt the rulers of the sky, they had not reached this point during the Danian, with their full recovery taking an additional 15
Goofy
million
looking bird,
years.
man.
But
It's
you know
kind of
what
stocky.
doesn't take millions of years? Tapping that like and subscribe button.
Ah,
Because
ha,
you'll
ha.
never be missing out.
Not gonna lie, follow and subscribe.
In the end, the lands of Earth weren't the most exciting after the dinosaurs, but it was made up for a bit by what was unfolding underwater. Just like the land with its non-avian dinosaurs, the oceans and seas had
Bro,
lost their
fuck the
undisputed
ocean,
rulers
bro.
as well,
I'm not trying to
namely
learn about
large
none of that.
reptiles, like mosasaurs and plesiosaurs. However, in
What is
their
a
absence,
plesiosaur?
new
That's
group
a
arose,
Loch Ness
and
monster.
once again, I may add, who also survived remarkably untouched, and aren't exactly more comforting than having marine reptiles.
Bro, show some
standing
Avatar.
up. And of course, I'm talking about sharks. Lots of them, in fact.
Bro, you know what's
Of the 20
crazy?
shark families known during the final.
Bro, you know what's
days of the
crazy? You know sharks are older than trees? That's insane to me. Like, sharks were here before trees were. Like, how does that even work? Like, sharks are older than trees? How? They need air. So how is that even possible?
Mesozoic, just 3 went extinct, leaving 25 groups still swimming in the Danian. And they weren't exactly small or timid either, as among the numerous genera, you would find the largest predator alive on Earth during this time, who was also a great reason to never swim. The Otodus, meaning ear-shaped tooth. This is a genus of mackerel shark, just like great whites, that is believed to have descended directly from the shark Cratalamna. And with the absence of giant mosasaurs, Otodus was able to quickly swell in size. In less than 1 million years after the Cretaceous, there was not one, but 2 species of Otodus meandering around, that already matched the size of large great whites, allowing them to basically eat anything they desired, which was typically
Great
sea
whites are
turtles
huge. I never see. I see like a
and then,
life size
on top of
thing
these big
way,
guys,
but like they're
there's also
fucking
the
massive
chance
though.
that
They
a
ain't
third
like
species was on the scene
like
too,
that. Like
the Obliquus,
Yeah.
which if the case, was a very, very bad omen. For this species was even bigger, sometimes hitting 9 meters or 30 feet long. And while the Otodus
Really?
species were unchallenged when it came to size,
that's crazy too. Like their lungs are right directly into their mouth.
they definitely weren't the only sharks
Shoot,
taking
sorry.
full advantage of this emptier world. being joined by some genera that have even made it to today, like the Lamna and Nebrius. And besides sharks, there was also many other groups that were popping off, including sea turtles like I mentioned, eels, with them heavily diversifying at this time, and then while not marine per se, it was also now that
I'm
Earth
super
saw the
tired
rise
right now.
of the Anguillidae, a family of ray-finned fish which contain freshwater eels, not to be confused with their marine counterparts. But for
Eels?
those unagi lovers out there, best be thankful for that space rock. Along with this bunch,
What?
we also got the first cutlass fishes back then, a group that, like freshwater eels, are still living and are predatory fish, yet are a bit meaner looking, possessing relatively large fang-like teeth, which allow them to.
See, that's scary, bro. Shout out, bro. What's his name?
And in the
River
end,
Monsters
they
guy.
weren't the only strange
Call
fish
him.
that popped up in the early Cenozoic, as one of the strangest actually happened to appear right around the impact crater not long after its formation.
Oh.
And calling it weird is putting it lightly. Perhaps it got mixed up with some of that.
Yeah.
good
What
old
is that,
meteorite
bro? That's
dust.
it. Look like a
This
flower
was
bed.
the Colostomus. It's a completely extinct genus who belong to its very own
But
family.
why?
Of
See, that's
which
a
it is the
that's a
only
dumb
known
evolution.
and can
You're in
be
the
simply
water.
summed
You
up
there
as
are
an
no
alien-like
flowers,
trumpet
brother,
fish.
and you're
As
red.
besides the trumpet part, it was also completely armored, kind of like a placoderm.
I know that one. That was
However, its
insane.
armor was even
That
bigger
guy
than
was
what's
ready.
typically seen in placoderms.
He evolved for
being
that.
very
He's ready.
rough, unsymmetrical, and protruding, making it kind of look like a cross between a coral and a fish, or at least a fish with a serious barnacle overgrowth. And though
Barnacles.
we don't know much about
Barnacle
this creature
boy.
beyond its strange appearance, we do know it was important, in that its existence itself showed to us that marine life near the asteroid's crater recovered rapidly, and seemingly harbored predators too, given the presence of its armor. And overall, strange definitely seemed to be the trend for Danian fish. As I
Really?
present you yet another oddity, the Adaphodon.
The
Now, this
Daffodon.
genus was actually a remnant of the age of
What
dinosaurs,
is that?
having evolved during the early Cretaceous. Yet even
Oh,
after
that's
the
a.
asteroid,
Oh,
it remained
I thought it was his tongue.
evolved.
That's something else. I was like, what is that?
evolved during the early Cretaceous. Yet even after the asteroid, it remained a fairly common sight. Everything we know about it points to it having been a type of chimera. And no, I'm not talking about the
Chimera.
mythical creature, but rather the equally weird-looking fish that are cousins to sharks and rays, that still do swim in the
Oh,
ocean
what is
together.
that?
But unlike its living relatives, this guy was an absolute unit, sometimes measuring more than 3.43 meters, or 11.3 feet long.
11
which
feet
also makes him
today?
larger than the biggest
That's
black
insane.
troopers out there. Now, the late
They're
Cretaceous had
crap.
been
They
their
look like
peak,
real people.
but
They
even
got a
during the
nose.
Danian, they were still widespread, living in both the northern and southern hemispheres, where it is thought that for a brief time they would have been among the Earth's top predators. But what they ate exactly is still a mystery, as unlike sharks, they did not
Bro,
have many
look how
sharp
big
continuous
they
airplanes
are,
teeth,
like
but
menacing as
rather
heck.
large permanent
They're
tooth
super
plates that, at least
menacing.
in some species, seem to be
Like, you wouldn't want to
specialized for a
cross
mix
that
of
path.
jobs,
No way.
including crushing, cutting, and tearing, leading to the idea that large Adaphodons probably ate whatever they wanted, including hard-shelled animals, fish, sharks, and any marine reptile stragglers left behind. However, like Ecolostomus,
Yeah, bro, that's a
they
ter-
will not make it to the present.
This is a terrible. Like, this is a terrible evolution. Horrible evolution. Like, you're in the water. Like, nothing's that bright. Nothing's this bright in the water.
And would eventually be replaced by sharks and other
Horrible
predator
evolution.
fish.
L
But they
rating,
did
1
last
out of
for far
10.
longer, making it all the way to the Pliocene. And they also would not be the last to disappear, as actually, an animal typically associated with the age of dinosaurs is believed to have briefly survived following their demise. And
Oh.
that's the ammonites, an extinct subclass of coral-shelled cephalopods.
Bro, that thing looked
that
like a
existed
Pokemon.
for
I forgot what
hundreds
it's
of
called,
millions of
though.
years. It would have been a common sight in nearly all prehistoric oceans and seas. And for a long
Like, I literally
time,
just got Pokemon
paleontologists
Go
believed
back,
that
and I
all
started
of them,
playing it
without
again.
exception, had perished on the fateful day. But then in Denmark and New Jersey respectively,
New Jersey?
paleontologists found the remains of a species dated
That
to
thing is in
after
New
the
Jersey?
suggesting
No
that
way.
a handful remained for nearly 500,000 years.
Bro, if it's that big, I'm quitting everything.
And these genera included the Eubacolites, Discoscaphites, Hoploscaphites, and Baculites. And while none were as giant as the older Parapazosia,
There's no way that gotta be fake. I don't care. That's insane. That you could fit in that.
they were still extremely interesting, and unlike anything we have today. And along with the rest of the animals that had made it through the boundary, were the last remainders of a world lost to time. Thanks for watching, and
Bro, dang, yo. Shout out. Hold on, I'm gonna like this video. Man, shout out him, though. Man. That's crazy, bro.